In this video, I'm going to show you all the steps I took for restoring this old box game, The Fellowship of the Ring, fixing the box and getting some tape off and just some things that I did. So let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. When restoring an old board game or RPG book, there's a lot of things you've got to take into consideration. So, for today, looking at the Fellowship of the Ring, the things that we need to first take a look at is, do we have all of the components that make up the game? Because if we're missing components, then we may not want to even put the effort into restoring the game completely, or we may want to look for those other components so that we can put them in to completely restore the game. And then the second thing we need to do is take a look at the condition, the overall condition of the game itself. Is the game even salvageable as something to put on your shelf? Let's go ahead and kind of jump into the first and the most important thing, and that is, do we have all the components? So when I unboxed this game on the video, all the cards and tokens and everything were just shoved into the box and was completely disorganized. But looking on the back here, it says we have a 21 by 26 full colored mounted map board of tokens, Middle Earth. We have 222 illustrated playing cards, 65 plastic playing pieces, 40 die-cut counters, rulebook, card displays, charts, and tables. So we need to make sure all that's in the box so that we have everything. Looking further in the rule instructions, 3.0 game components. 121 by 26 game mat, 6 pieces. So that's talking about these pieces here, and looking, you're going to look your pieces over and see what kind of shape they are in, because these are kind of like jigsaw piece puzzles where like these little pieces here can get frayed and might need to be glued back together again. But looking at my boards, everything looks like they're in good shape. You can see the little tags where they punched it out of cardboard. But everything's looking like it's in good shape. There's some dirt on the back of some of these, but that's not a big deal for a game that's this old. There's no stickers, there's no markings, nobody wrote on the game pieces. Everything looks like they're in good shape. So we can pretty much say we've got all 6 of these pieces. So we can check that off the list. These are in good shape. We are good to go forward. The next thing is one rule booklet. Well, here's my rule booklet, so we can check that off. 72 small cards. So when I unboxed the game, we had all these cards just thrown in the box, and there was no sorting of them. Some of them were rubber band together, which I'll suggest is a bad idea. You should never use cheap rubber bands to keep your cards together, because the rubber band over time will start to decay, and there's oils and things in the rubber bands that could damage your cards. So should never use that. Little Ziploc bags work just fine. But 72 small cards. I counted all these small cards out, and these all have like art on the back of them, and there's 72 of them. So we've got those. 150 large cards. I counted all of these large cards. There's 150 of them. So we're good to go there. So all the cards are in this box set. So that's a plus. The next thing was 65 plastic playing pieces, markers. So basically they gave you a bunch of D6 dice where the pips aren't really colored in. And that's what I'm assuming they're calling game pieces. And it's an older game, so maybe that's what they did back in the day. You notice these stickers are on some of them, and we'll get to that in a second. But there's 65 of them. There was no color breakdown. Looking at other games online on eBay, everybody had D6s and they had these basic colors. So looks like those components are there. One 20-sided dice, as we already talked about in the previous unboxing video. There is one D20. It's numbered 1 through 10 in black and 1 through 10 in red, which is the old way of doing D20s back in the day. One set of counters, and it did not give me a number count, but on the back of the box, it actually says there was 40 die cut counters. Counted up these, there's 40 of them, so these are all accounted for. 2 sets of stickers. So these must be what they were talking about when it talked about sets of stickers. And those I found on the dice. Like some of these dice had these letters stuck to them, but I don't have a lot of them. Like, I don't know, I haven't read the rules. I don't know all the particulars, but I'm assuming that these are the stickers they're talking about, and they're on the dice. So obviously someone played this game, and these must be a way of marking certain elements for gameplay. The cool thing about this is this would be really easy to make a new one. So that way I could peel off the stickers on the old dice if I want to, or just start over again. And I can just print this out. This is nothing fancy, probably off, looked like it was probably done off an old word processor back in the day. So we can recreate this, and I don't think it will affect the value of the game in any way, shape, or form if those were recreated. 2 display boards. So these are the 2 display boards that they're talking about. A place for putting your markers or your die cut tokens, and putting down your cards. And there's nothing on the back of these, so these are simply the display boards. I have both of them. 2 charts and table sheets. So these are the only other charts in the game, and on the back side you've got tables, making it a table sheet, and you've got charts. So you got the map all laid out, and you have a lot of information. There's 2 of them, which would be that each player would get 1. They're in okay shape. This one has a little stain on it, but that just gives it character. It doesn't hide the information. It doesn't cause any problem with the reading the text, and it doesn't go through the paper. So it's just something on the surface. And that's it. So we have all of the components for this game. So now it's worth us taking that next step of putting some time and energy into restoring the game itself. So let me clear my desk, and then we'll come back and look at the box, because that's pretty much the only thing that needs to be restored. So looking at this box, we already know it's in really bad shape. There's no way around it. I don't want to do a full restoration and try to remake the box and redo the art and do the whole 9 yards. That to me is silly. This game isn't worth that much. I did some looking on eBay. Depending on the condition, it's anywhere from $40 to $60. I understand why Bookman's marked this at $20 now. The box is blown out. Two of the corners are ripped. They are not going to sit there and count all the components to decide if the game has everything. So a $20 price tag on this was a fair price. But now that we know it has all the components, and all the components are in good shape, and that the box is the only thing that's in bad shape, we can just fix the blown out corners. There's some dirt on it. This piece of paper right here is lifting, so I'll need to re-glue that down. But yeah, that corner is totally trashed, and you can see like some of the paper's gone there. It's all white along the edges from like shelfware. But what we're going to do is we're going to fix the ripped corners. I think that would be the most important thing. The bottom is in great shape, so all the paper corners look like they're in solid shape, so we don't need to worry about the bottom. And yeah, it's got some tape here, and I don't know if I'm gonna do anything about that tape, because somebody used like Scotch tape and like box tape Like we're peeling it up. It's coming up nicely, but you got to be real careful pulling tape off because you don't want it to start pulling on the paper and damaging it even worse. Like, okay, we're just going real slow. We're in it now. We've already started pulling this up and it's coming up nicely. And it's not leaving any residue, but it's left a color disarray. You know, you can see where that tape was. So, and why someone taped it like that, I don't know. So, what I need to do is just go around and pull this tape off, but I can do that later. That's not too exciting. The big thing is fixing the box. So, I've already fixed one corner. You can see it here. And the main focus of this video is to show you fixing the other corner. When they make these boxes, these corners aren't glued together. And I don't know if they are these days or not. I don't think they are. But all this is it's a die cut piece of cardboard. It's folded. And then the paper or the illustration is what holds the box all together. So all it means is this paper ripped, because that's all that's holding it together, and it came apart. Now here's my fixed side, and you can see it's still got the line. You can still see the rip in the paper. It's never going to be perfect again, but it's good enough for now. So what we need to do to fix all this is first we're going to start by just kind of gluing it back together, just with some Elmer's glue. Nothing fancy, nothing special here. Get some Elmer's glue, glue it back together, set it up in a jig. I'm going to show you how to set up a jig. And then once we've got it kind of glued together and tacked down and we're happy with everything, we're going to glue in a reinforcement piece, which is just a piece of card paper, and then set it up in the jig, and that's going to hold it together. And that's pretty much it. We're going to be using a lot of the stuff that I use in bookbinding. I've got 2 pieces of wood. And what these are going to be used for is for the outside corner. So that way it keeps it nice and straight. I've just got a box piece that will go on the inside of the box, just to square up our corners. We've got 2 clamps to hold it all together. And I've cut some strips of parchment paper so that way nothing sticks to the cardboard, because the glue, this Elmer's glue, does not stick to parchment paper. And we got Elmer's glue. So this is pretty much it. This is just a piece of cardstock that we're going to use to reinforce the corner, but this will get used in step 2. The first step is just kind of gluing the corner together lightly, so that way we can have it put in place, so that way when we glue this in, it's just a lot easier. So let me get everything ready. So we have to look at our damaged corner and figure out what's going to be the best way to glue this together. So we got a little bit of paper that's hanging off here on the edge, and this is just raw cardboard. So it's going to be best to put the Elmer's glue here, hold it down like that, and then get this piece of paper to glue over that corner so that we can hide the damage as best as possible. Now, with this first step, all we're trying to do is tack it up. We're not trying to fix it. We're just trying to tack it up, so that way when we put in the reinforcement and everything, we can then put in the extra glue to really hold it together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on my, it's actually a paint palette for when I paint miniatures and stuff like that. And I'm just going to get a little bit on my fingertip, and I'm just going to start running it down the cardboard. I don't want this stuff oozing all over the place. I just want to moisten the cardboard with some Elmer's glue and just get it down, so that way we can then just kind of temporarily hold this in place. Let me get this off my desk. And that's that. That's like, we want to tack this up so that it holds together. So once we've gotten the glue down on the corner, what we're going to want to do is we're going to put a piece of parchment paper on the inside and our box. And then we want to make sure that everything is where we want it. And once we got everything where we want it, we want to take one of the clamps to hold one side down and shift everything, make sure everything's in place, make sure everything's where you want it. Then you're going to want to hold the other side down with the other clamp. And then that's what's going to hold your corner together. And that's about as best as I'm going to get that. This is just a temporary fix. This is not the permanent fix. The permanent fix will come when we actually put the paper inside there. But we just want to kind of tack this together so that it's got a little bit more support when we're messing around with the actual fix. So let me put this to the side, and then we'll give it some time to dry, and we'll come back and we'll put in the reinforcement paper. Okay, so here is the box after I had glued the reinforcement paper on the inside. And you did not see it on video because somebody forgot to press record and you missed out on all the things I did in order to secure this paper in. However, I plan to reinforce the other two corners so I can show you the process again. But here it is finished. Like, now it's good and secure. That paper is all glued down and that reinforced the corner. So I do apologize for that. I guess we all make mistakes. So let me go through the process one more time. So we fold the paper that we're going to use to reinforce our corners in half. And I'm just using cardstock. This is the paper I use with my book binding to make the covers. It's craft paper, like for scrapbooking. And all we're going to do is we're going to smear glue around it. We're going to put it into this corner section right here. And then I'll use the wood and the parchment paper to form it, to get it all put together. So let me get the glue on here real fast. You don't have to put a lot of glue on. If you put too much glue on, then you're just asking for trouble. So just get the glue, smear it around. I just use my fingers and just wipe it off. So then just put it into the corner and press the sides in so the fold gets into the corners nice and tight to kind of push a lot of that glue into the cardboard itself. So there we go. And then what we're going to do is just put a piece of parchment paper in here. And then we'll put our wooden box in there. And then over here on the side, on the outside, we'll put our parchment paper in and kind of hold it all in place real good. And then take one of your clamps and clamp it down. Then on the other side, hold it down, clamp it down. That's pretty much all you're doing. And then let this dry. And once it's dry, give it maybe 2 or 3 hours to dry. And then you're good to go. So that will be how we reinforce the two that aren't ripped. And that's how we fix the two that were ripped. And I do apologize for not capturing that on video. Mistakes happen. Also, I went ahead and removed all the tape from the back of the box. It all came off nicely and leaving very little damage. Like the Scotch tape didn't leave any discoloration, but that box tape left some discoloration in the white. And that tape is also on the cover as well. So we'll try to remove the Scotch tape for sure, but we'll see. We'll see how it comes off. If it comes off easily, then we'll remove it all. The next thing we're going to fix on this box is this piece of paper right here that's ripped up. And I'll zoom in so you can get a better idea what it looks like. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to put some Elmer's glue on the cardboard, press this down, and then I'm going to take parchment paper and wrap it around using the clamps on the sides just to put a little bit of pressure so the moisture from the Elmer's glue will kind of suck in the paper and get a good firm seal here and really fix that from any future damage. But right now what we need to do is just push it up, get our Elmer's glue, and you don't need a lot of it. You just want to get a little bit, and I put it on the cardboard, not on the paper. Give it time to get into the cardboard, and you can see right there, I just got that Elmer's glue right there. Then we're just going to press it down, try to get as much of that glue off as possible. And it's held down quite nicely all by itself. But what we want to do is just add a little bit more structure, put a little pressure on it so that it really holds down tightly. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the parchment paper and the clamps, and on one side, clamp it down, pull it tight across. Need to go down a little bit lower. Pull it tight across so that it's got pressure on the corner there. And then clamp it down. And I'll just leave it like that. All I'm trying to do is get some pressure. I don't like how loose this other side is. So we will tighten that up. Really hard to do on camera, by the way. So yeah, I just want a little pressure there just to hold it down while it dries. Now we still need to deal with taking this tape off. I haven't gotten to that, and then I still need to take this sticker off, but we'll do that after this piece dries. Okay, so it's the next day, and we let the glue dry from the damage to our box here, so we'll just peel this paper off, and you can see the damaged section right there is all repaired. It works pretty good. You know, even with the Elmer's glue, eventually it can still fail as time goes on. But for right now, it's fixed. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start messing around with this tape. So obviously they use the tape to close the box, and what I'm going to try to do is lightly peel it off. The Scotch tape's going to come off easily because Scotch tape isn't very strong, and we just peel it off. There's no residue being left behind. So there's the Scotch tape here. So I'll just get this all peeled off, and then we'll work from the sides, and we'll get the box tape off. Now the box tape's a lot stronger and potentially could cause more problems, and we just want to be careful with it. This just seems like really cheap Scotch tape. It's just peeling right off. It's not taking any of the color or anything. So here we actually have box tape, so that could create more problems. So what I'm going to do is try to get it to start peeling from. So what do we got? Nope. I'm going to have to start from the Scotch tape and see if I can pull up that box tape as I go. So it's starting to pull up. You can see starting to pull up that box tape. So it took a little bit of color off the corner here, but that's just life. We'll do the same thing here. We'll start with the Scotch tape.
And again, it's up to you if you want to remove tape from your board game boxes or not. Um, it's not necessary, but it is annoying to have it on the box, especially if it starts to peel up any and it starts uh, just getting sticky. Like it's tape. It's gross. Over time it just gets a little gross. Starts to peel up and cause all kinds of problems. So the box tape didn't come off with the Scotch tape. As I get closer, I just want to slow my roll and just go real gentle and pull that off. That's all the tape off. Now the last thing we need to work on is this price tag here that good old Bookman's put on. I can try to peel this off and it probably will come off just fine. If it leaves a residue behind, what I'll end up having to do is take some goof off. And I mean, just a little bit of goof off to get the residue off. The main thing with these price tags is they're cut in such a way that they can't easily be peeled. Like you can see how it's cut in diagonals and all that. And that's by design so that someone can't sit in the store and try to peel stickers, peel these labels off and switch them on other products. So that's just like a security measure. But they don't peel off easily, which again, security. All right, so it didn't leave any residue, as you can see. So that's all done. So our game box is all fixed. The tape is all off of it. Yeah, it's got some dirt and grime on it. Like, I just wet my finger a little bit. And whatever this smudge is right there, I got the surface of it off. Who knows what kind of diseases I just got. But it stained the cardboard, so that's just going to be that way. So let me put my game back together and I'll be back to show the final product. So here's the finished product and the lid comes off nice. And you can see this is where we repaired the two lower corners and then we reinforced the upper two corners. Obviously this box is in bad shape, but it will look nice on my shelf now. And then here's everything inside. Everything's been accounted for. We've got all the tokens, we've got all the cards, we've got the rule books, we got some of the stickers for the dice. So now the next thing for me to do is to read the rules and see if this is a game that I actually even want to play. But it was a lot of fun. For the $20 investment, this provided me a good couple hours of entertainment, which in my opinion is a good return on my investment. I got to make a cool video. I got this cool game that I got to look at, and I'll get to read the rules and just kind of take a step back in time. But yeah, it's all done. So thank you for watching and have a great day. Bye.